everybody, thanks for joining me. My name is Susan Timchak and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I'd like to welcome you to my video today. What I thought I would share with you today is something that I learned when I first started stamping, actually. As many of you know, I've been a demonstrator now. It will be 17 years. I'm starting my 17th year this year, actually next month in June. And the first thing that I learned how to do was embossing. And a lot of people kind of get like, ooh, embossing, like they're shying away from it already, just the sound of it. But let me show you something that's really fun to do with embossing. And if you're brand new to stamping, this is just perfect because there really are no mistakes with this. Okay, now I just realized that there was one thing that I forgot to have handy. So we'll improvise. We'll do it. We'll find something here to finish it off. So the stamp set that I'm using today is this one here, and this is called Flourishing Phrases, and it's actually a set of 2 stamps in this set. And I do have the wood-mounted set, and this is a very large set, and I love it because I love not only the designs on it, but I love all the sayings on it. And this does come also in clear, which is the same type of stamp, except you don't get the wooden block. It's a little bit and it's more cheaper that way without the wood block, because you use these acrylic blocks to take them on and off. And for storage also, it's the size of a DVD case, so you'd have 2 of them for this set. So that's the set we're using, and if this one in the wood mount, the item number is 141531, and there are 18 stamps in this set. So we'll put that aside. Okay, so to start with embossing, I have a piece of 8.5 by 11 cardstock. I have it scored at 5.5. No, I have it scored at, yes, 4 1/4. 4 1/4 scored and cut at 5.5. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to fold this. And with the scoring, and I usually have my bone folder, but I have it packed up for a class coming up on Friday. So you would use a bone folder to go ahead and fold it. And by scoring it, it helps so you don't end up getting those wrinkles at the top. So again, this is Whisper White. So okay, let's get embossing, shall we? This little pocket is called an embossing buddy, and we like to use this on our cardstock. What it does is it prevents any of the little flecks or any of the embossing powder from sticking where it shouldn't stick. And to do our embossing today, we're using a Versamark, which is a watermark stamp pad, and it has actually no color to it. It's clear. So when you're embossing with an ink that has no color, you want to use an embossing powder that has color. So in this instance, this is white, and we're doing a white on white technique, but I'm going to show you how fun this is going to be, what we're going to do. Now this is a very sticky ink pad, and the best part of using a Versamark, and sorry about the shaking, my camera is actually connected here to my desk, is it stays wet longer than what a standard dye-based ink pad would be. So we're going to stamp this right here in the center. I'm holding on to my cardstock when I lift it up. And I'm not sure if you can see that, but like I said, the Versamark has no color. So we're going to use an ink with it that will have color. Okay, so let me see here. Let me try to get an eyeball as to where to stamp this. All right, there we go. Let me put that aside. So can you see that has a actual clear ink on there? So unfortunately, this little tray that I'm using is no longer available, but it's something that Stampin' Up! Used to sell. You can use a coffee filter or just a piece of extra scrap paper. And we're just going to sprinkle on this embossing powder. And don't worry, we're going to use all that. We're going to put it all back in the jar when we're done. And I like to kind of give it a little flick So any of the remaining embossing powder is removed. Now by using that buddy, we're not going to have to worry about it being stuck where it shouldn't be stuck. So you want to make sure it's covered. Okay, so, oh boy, my little embossing. But now this is a embossing heat tool made by Stampin' Up, and it has 2 settings on it. So this is going to get a little loud, so I apologize for that. I think I talk pretty loud, so you should be able to hear me. Now, I want to let this warm up a little bit. It does get very hot, a lot hotter than a hairdryer. When you take this heat tool to it, once it warms up a little bit, I'm not sure if you can see that, but it's actually melting that embossing powder. And this was the part that, it really got me. When I learned how to do this embossing and I started off, I was embossing everything. I loved it. Some people have some problems with it, so it is a little bit of a learning, type of project that you do have to learn how to do it. So practice makes perfect, right? Just like with everything. Okay, we're almost done, so just bear with me here. And you'll notice I don't go too close to it because you actually can scorch your paper. You want to make sure that your whole image is shiny. And believe it or not, you can actually over emboss. And the powder kind of melts away. And we don't want to do that either. And I think we're going to be having a stamp guest here, so I best move some of my things out of the way, because if my friend is going to show up, or she wants to go actually in the window, so hopefully she does not cause an avalanche. And I think you all know who it is, and she has a very dirty face. Let me clean off her face. My kitties love to go in the basement, and I don't know what it is about basements, but they love to go down there, and as long as they keep it clear of any kind of little 4-legged animals running around, then I'm good with that, except her feet look very dirty. All right, Dory, come on. Okay, so we're going to use Stampin' Up! Ink colors. We're using Pool Party, Old Olive, and Crushed Curry. And looks like Dory, I want to make sure I'm in camera here for you, so Dory's not going to, well, I don't know where she's going. All right, so I'm also going to use the sponge daubers, which everything that I'm using here today is Stampin' Up. And with these, I have one for each color. So let's see. I haven't made a protocol of this.
Hello there.
Oh, hello, Kylie. Oh my goodness. This is like really like a comedy show here today, isn't it? I was watching Kylie before we started here. Okay, I have closed her off. All right, so let's get started what we're doing. I'll tell you, life just really does get in the way sometimes of things. So we'll start with our lightest color. This is Pool Party. Anyhow, I was explaining the little sponge daubers. What we're going to do is we're going to go right into our ink pad, and we're going to kind of take a little bit off, and we're going to go right to our card, and we're just going to go ahead and just swirl this color around. Okay, can you see that, how pretty that is? And add some color to it. Now don't worry, you might think that it looks like a train wreck, but it won't. So let me close this up, being that Miss Dory is around. So let's go ahead, we're going to use Crushed Curry next. And again, we're using a new dauber because we don't want to, mix the colors there. So we're going to go ahead and add a little bit of Crushed Curry. And I'm going to kind of overlap a little bit with the where the Pool Party was. It just kind of blends the colors a little bit. Let me put that aside. And now we're going to go with Old Olive. One of my favorite greens. I have to, if you want to say that you have a favorite, which, we all know that we have a favorite of everything. Old Olive happens to be one of mine. And again, apologize for any shaking, which I see my camera is really moving around. But the end product will be so worth it, I promise. All right, there we go. Okay, now normally, if I was properly prepared, I would have had a tissue or something in the sorts of a tissue. However, I'm going to use a little bit of a wet wipe here. I'm going to kind of take off some of the wetness. And what we're going to do is we're going to go over this. And we're going to remove some of the ink that was on there. And I love it. Doesn't it look gorgeous? It's so pretty. So this is called an Emboss Resist technique. So in case you're new to Stampin' Up! And you want to learn a new technique, this is what this is called. All right, so now I have the same colors, Pool Party and Old Olive. And what I'm going to do, I don't know what that is on there, is I'm going to, do I have the right ones here? Boy, do you ever get the feeling that sometimes you just don't have it all together? Well, I'm going to apologize because today is one of those days. Just have to take a little smidgen off of this piece here. Hold on while I cut this. Hopefully I don't go over my time, and YouTube tells me that I gibbered too long and that they cut my video. And I don't know why that happens. I see other people doing their videos and they gibber on and on and on, and that never happens to them. But me, I don't know. I think they don't like me. Okay, here we go. All right. Not the smoothest of cuts, but in a pinch. Okay, so we're going to adhere our Old Olive onto here. Just like that. And that's going to go on the top of our card. And I'm using the Tombow liquid glue. I really like using this glue. And I see I need a little bit more green, more blue up here. Just going to kind of fill in there. I like using this glue because you can, gives you some time to play around with moving things about. All right, now this bottom one, let's do a little congratulations. And the best part about the wood mount is that you don't have to take it on and off, like the acrylic. So it's always ready to go. So we'll, embossing buddy, just like before. We'll stamp our congratulations and get my little tray back out. Now you can, like I said, use a piece of cardstock, a coffee filter, anything to kind of help gather up that powder. All right, back with our embossing tool. Then we're going to adhere this and put it all together, and we will have a very lovely card. Now a lot of people, they end up, which, how my card is here. Come on there, heat it up. It's going to end up with some of that powder on it, but you don't have to worry from the embossing buddy because you could just wipe that off. All right, just wipe that off. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and adhere this to here onto our Pool Party. Now you do want to let that embossing powder set just a little bit, because what it ends up doing is it has to kind of dry and harden up. Just give it like a few seconds. I'm going to put this down here on the bottom. And got a little curve there from the wet wipe. And let's see, what else can we add? I like to use our little boxes that we have our stamps. We can actually purchase these individually, and I store in my little glue dots and rhinestones and things like that. And I don't see my little scissors anywhere nearby, but let's do a little bling on the edge over here, and usually I use my paper